सेव किया था ना?
मैं सिर्फ इसलिए गया था क्योंकि उसने मुझे कॉल किया, that's it. But listen तो.
Save it for someone else.
जिंदगी में सेव करना जरूरी है, मगर जब बात पैसों की हो, सिर्फ सेविंग से काम नहीं चलेगा। इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए और अपने सेविंग्स को आगे बढ़ने का मौका दीजिए।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
This is the season of gangsters, mafiosi, the bad guys. You can choose your own adjective. This is the season of all of them in Uttar Pradesh right now. In fact, in Hindi heartland in general, but Uttar Pradesh specifically. And the good thing is, this is not particularly a good season for them. This is actually quite a bad season for them. At least for most of them. There might be the odd one who's not doing so badly, who might actually be doing better, but I will just mention that in the passing. We've just seen the dramatic assassination of Atiq Ahmed and his brother Ashraf in Prayagraj. At the same time, another headline gangster is rising. That, or maybe is returning to our headlines, and that is Mukhtar Ansari. Now, Mukhtar Ansari, in many ways, is an even more prominent presence in eastern UP. Not so much in Prayagraj, that area was left, I suppose, to Atiq Ahmed. But if you go east of Prayagraj, particularly north and the east of Prayagraj, see the map of Uttar Pradesh, see Mirzapur, Ghazipur, Mau, Ghosi, all of those areas. If you see those areas, that is north and east of Prayagraj, those were areas that Mukhtar Ansari dominated for a very long time. That was also the area of the worst, the most violent gang fights. Now, in Prayagraj, after Atiq Ahmed had got rid of the person, Chand Baba, from whom he was grabbing that territory, there were no gang wars there. There were no gang wars where AKs were used, big time movie-like gang wars. But in these other districts of eastern UP, that has been the norm for more than 2 decades now. So Mukhtar Ansari, who's been like the leading quote-unquote actor of that region, he's been in jail for quite some time now. He is now being brought in. He's now being brought in to listen to the verdict that the special court will deliver. This is the special MP MLA court that will deliver in a bunch of cases against him on 29th of April. So come another 10 days or so, that will become the headline story. Now, the important thing is that Mukhtar Ansari has been involved, or allegedly so far, has been involved in a lot of things. But a couple of things you can say that you can do without the allegedlys, because lately he's begun to get convictions in courts, because for a long time he only got acquittals, right? Even in cases where there were supposedly a lot of eyewitnesses, witnesses turned hostile, all kinds of things happened, and he never got convicted. He spent a lot of time in jail. He kept coming out of jail. He kept contesting elections from the jail, from outside. He joined multiple parties. Once even launched a party of his own, has been MLA for 5 terms from the constituency of Mau, from where his son Abbas is now the MLA. So he ruled that pocket borough of his own, Mau, again, not far from Varanasi, and in the general lawless expanse of eastern Uttar Pradesh, or general mafia land of eastern Uttar Pradesh. Unfortunately, eastern Uttar Pradesh, these districts together had become, over the past 30-35 years, in fact, much worse than the dacoit lands of Chambal, etc. Dacoit lands were romanticized, there were movies about them, but dacoits at least did the simple thing of robbing the rich, right? They robbed the rich, they didn't always distribute it to the poor, but they robbed the rich and they were confined to that area. These guys, the gangsters of this region, they ran very complex mafias. Somebody controlled coal mining, somebody controlled road building, somebody controlled government contracts. Basically, these mafias began to rise mid-80s onwards as a lot of money was sent in by the central government particularly. Mid-80s onwards, India's economy began to grow. Rajiv Gandhi also came to power with a big majority, and there was a lot of emphasis on on development in the most backward area. So a lot of money began coming in. And what happens when government brings in the money and government has to spend the money? Through whom do the government spend that money? Government does it through contractors. So contractors, mafias came up. And this business was so lucrative that contractors, mafia then began fighting with each other, fighting for territory, fighting for contracts, killing each other. And then these mafias got connected with the mafias in Mumbai, or what used to be Bombay then, including Dawood Ibrahim's group, Arun Gavli's group, and they began getting the kind of weapons that the police in the heartland was never used to. That is AK-47s and things. So the first time you see, forget the terrorism in Punjab or forget what was happening in Northeast. Terrorism, militancy, insurgency, those were different things. But in straightforward gangland warfare, the first time AK-47s began to use at a large level was in this part of Uttar Pradesh. And the star of that show, quote unquote star, every time I say star for these guys, I put those two quotes, that was Mukhtar Ansari. Mukhtar Ansari, as I told you, has been in jail. He's been moved again like Atiq from jail to jail to jail because whichever jail he was in, he was running his empire from jail. He was then moved to a jail in Punjab, in Mohali. From there, he's now been brought into Banda jail because verdicts are being read in several cases now against him. And so he has to be present when verdicts are read. And this verdict will be read on April 29. This again is a serious case. There is this Gangster Act. There is a bunch of murders. He, in fact, has the distinction of having at least 9 murder cases. Now, it's difficult to research these things because these things go into folklore and sometimes it becomes difficult to figure out what is true, what's mythology. But generally, if you check and cross-check, I can see that he is the kind of Don who had 9 murder cases registered against him while he was in jail. So he could allegedly or supposedly carry out these hits or have his people allegedly carry out these hits while from jail. Now, I told you just a while back that now, at least in some cases, you can dispense with the allegedly. So 2 cases have come up in the last few months. So September 22, 2022, he was convicted by the High Court, by the Lucknow bench. He was convicted in a case in which he had been acquitted in the trial court, and the police had filed an appeal in the High Court. So he was convicted and given a jail sentence for 7 years. And what was the charge? The charge was that he had attacked a jailer in 2003. In 2003, the jailer had tried to only check people who were coming in to meet him because he used to run his empire from jail. Jailer was S.K. Avasthi, and he filed a complaint that he attacked him, he threatened him, and he also pulled out a pistol and pointed the pistol at him. 2003, 19 years later, Mukhtar Ansari was convicted. As I told you, he was acquitted by the trial court. And if you see these stories, each time I tell you the story of acquittal, you can take in as read the fact that witnesses are turned hostile, or in some cases, witnesses are turned up dead. In one case, a witness turned up dead. I will tell you the name in a second. And the police then dismissed it as suicide. So in this case, he got convicted. Then shortly after that, in December, on 15th of December, he was again convicted under Gangster Act. Now, Gangster Act is a UP law, which is a peculiar law. It calls for an entirely separate episode of Clutter for me to explain it to you. I think Apurva Mandhani, my colleague, will explain it to you very soon and we'll do a story on it. This is a very tough act. So under this act, he's again been convicted on 15 December 2022 and been given 10 years in jail. So 10 plus 7, right? And now this machine or this scorecard is running because many other cases remain. One case, as I told you, a bunch of cases I told you are coming up on April 29. He continues to be in jail. That is not to say that he cannot run his empire from jail. His brother Afzal, by the way, Afzal Ansari, who was also a co-accused in one prominent murder case that I will tell you about in some more detail, mass murder case. He is the MP. He is the MP, BSP MP from Ghazipur. And you know who he defeated from there? He defeated from there Manoj Sinha, who was a minister in the first NDA government, Narendra Modi government, and is now the governor of Jammu and Kashmir. So he contested last time from BSP, Afzal Ansari. BSP and SP were together, so obviously the votes got combined and he defeated Manoj Sinha. It was a rare victory for the opposition in Uttar Pradesh in an election that BJP more or less swept. So 2 convictions, another case coming up, and chances are you'll be hearing about Mukhtar Ansari quite a bit. Now, who's Mukhtar Ansari? He is a little bit different, or in fact, socially very different from Atiq Ahmed. Atiq Ahmed came from the boondocks. He came from nowhere. He was just a poor young kid who failed his class 10. He joined a tough life. He became a chota criminal early on in his teenage, actually carried out his first murder at the age of 17, or reputedly carried out his first murder at 17, but still had come from a poor family, no privilege, hardly any education except 10th fail, if you can call that education. But the fact is that Mukhtar Ansari comes from a fairly distinguished family, not just a fairly distinguished family, I'm indulging in euphemisms, from a very distinguished family. On one side, his grandfather, Mukhtar Ahmed Ansari. Mukhtar Ahmed Ansari was the president of the Congress party between 1927 and 28. He was elected Congress president in 1927. Before that, he had been the president of the Muslim League, Indian Muslim League, 1920 to 1921. He was a doctor. He had done his medicine in Madras, the medical college, and then he had gone to University of Edinburgh for further education. Then he joined Muslim League, then was part of Khilafat movement, was one of the leaders of Khilafat movement, then fell out with the Muslim League as Jinnah was rising, came to the Congress, 1927-28, president of Congress no less. His predecessor was Srinivas Iyengar, his successor was Motilal Nehru. So that's one grandfather. Grandfather from the other side, one dada, one nana. The grandfather from the other side was none else than Brigadier Usman. Brigadier Usman, among the first war heroes of independent India. In 1948, he was commanding a brigade in his 30s. I think it was 36 or 37 at that point of time. He had the option of going to Pakistan, did not go to Pakistan, stay on, commanded his brigade. He was called the Lion of Naushera. He carried out that famous counterattack at Jhangar, the town of Jhangar, which his brigade had lost, and he wanted to redeem his brigade's pride and his own and his nation. So he launched a huge counterattack. In the course of it, he died, but Indian Army, his brigade, recaptured Jhangar town. And Jhangar, to this day, remains his tribute or his gift to the nation. He died in that battle. He got a Mahavir Chakra. So one grandfather, Congress president, one grandfather among independent India's first war heroes. Now, Mukhtar Ansari comes from that lineage. If you want to see other connections, Hamid Ansari, our former vice president, is not closely related to him, as is sometimes said in folklore. He's like a second cousin. But there are many others. The fact, however, is that he's ruled this region. And from the 80s onwards, he got himself involved in mafia activity. Mafia activity basically then was contractors mafia. So around that time, this region has two mafias, two contractors mafias, both run by Hindu strongmen. One was run by Makhanu Singh. That is the mafia to which Ansari belonged, because Ansari became a kind of an operative in that larger gang. There was a rival mafia led by a man called Sahib Singh. That Sahib Singh mafia had also a prominent member, that was Brajesh Singh. And remember, his name will come up as we go along. So these two were in rival mafias. That enmity between the two, or rivalries in the gangland becomes enmity. And in the gangland, if you have rivalry, you don't bowl bouncers at each other. No, this is not a game of cricket. You fire at each other initially with kattas, which is country-made guns, then with sophisticated handguns, and then with AK-47s. And that's precisely how this relationship grew over time. Now, he got convicted in these two cases now, but quite famously, he got acquitted. He and his brother Afzal, who is now the MP from Ghazipur, they both got acquitted in probably the most important case in which they were charged. And that was the case of the assassination of Krishnanand Rai. Now, Krishnanand Rai was assassinated on 29th November 2005. Who was Krishnanand Rai? Krishnanand Rai was a BJP leader, local BJP leader, who made one big mistake, right? He contested elections in 2002 in what was seen by Mukhtar Ansari as his territory, or by the Ansari family as their territory. He won his election on the BJP ticket. So he became an MLA, and that was not to be accepted. What also became evident, at least that is what Ansari complained about, Ansari and his people complained about, is the fact that to get elected, Krishnanand Rai got help from Brajesh Singh. Brajesh Singh, as I told you, was a member of the rival gang, Sahib Singh's gang. And as Makhanu Singh and Sahib Singh fell by the wayside or grew too old or maybe got eliminated, these two inherited those legacies. So Ansari inherited Makhanu Singh's legacy, and Brajesh Singh by this time had inherited Sahib Singh's legacy. So the Ansari gang believed that Krishnanand Rai was helped by Brajesh Singh's gang, and now because Krishnanand Rai was an MLA, he was helping Brajesh Singh and his group get a lion's share of the contracts, which they didn't want, because the whole fight in that region was about government contracts. It was about thekedari. Then other stuff came in, liquor came in, and all the other gun running, liquor, all the other sort of ancillary activity came in. But the basic money was coming from government contracts. In any case, this is about territory. Gangs are like wolf pack. So if one wolf pack goes into the other's territory, there is bound to be a mortal combat. And that is what started in this case. So on 29th of November 2005, Krishnanand Rai had gone to attend a wedding. He had gone to attend a wedding, and somebody said, look, you're attending a wedding. Thoda sa time though, there's a cricket match going on. In fact, the match is to start. You are the local MLA. If you can come for a few minutes and inaugurate the cricket match. So poor fellow, and I have double sympathy for him because he ignored his security. He, in fact, even ignored the warnings of the special task force men, UP special task force men who was assigned to protect him, who said that they had heard that some hired killers were seen in Mukhtar Ansari's house. And he said, it's just a cricket match, right? So the reason I said I feel particularly sympathetic towards him is simply because he took a chance with the security for the sake of a cricket match, inaugurating a cricket match. So he went to inaugurate a cricket match. He went not in his bulletproof car, such as the bulletproof cars were then, without his security. And when he was coming back, he was attacked. He was attacked by gunmen. He was attacked by gunmen who had AK-47s, right? How many bullets did they fire? More than 400 casings of bullets were found from the spot. More than 400. Krishnanand Rai's body had 21 bullets. Krishnanand Rai and 6 others accompanying him were killed. A total of 67 bullets were pulled out of their bodies. All 7.62 mm, all AK-47 except one. In Krishnanand Rai's body, they found one shotgun bullet. Where was that fired? That was fired, and I will not get too explicit, that was fired in the lower part of his body, sort of ritually to prevent him from running away. So this was that kind of a killing. Now that caused a sensation. Local police filed a case, but you know who ruled UP at that time? It was Mulayam Singh Yadav's government. The government wasn't particularly sympathetic to the BJP MLA who had been assassinated. That is one part of the story. The other part of the story is that that government also had its linkages. They may deny it any number of times, but they had their linkages with these underworld dons, particularly on the Muslim side in their case. One after the other, UP police officers who were assigned this case, they gave up. They gave up saying that there was too much pressure. Krishnanand Rai's wife, Alka, she went to Allahabad High Court. Allahabad High Court ordered a CBI probe. CBI carried out a probe which took forever, and finally, the Supreme Court also transferred the trial to Delhi. In that trial in 2019, the verdict in the trial came in July 2019, and I will share with you a story done by Apurva Mandhani from our legal reporting team, explaining what the judge said while acquitting Mukhtar Ansari and all the other accused. The judge said that, look, I have no choice. I have no choice because all the witnesses have turned hostile. So there were 5 witnesses, including Brijesh Kumar Rai, who was a brother of Krishnanand Rai. Now the story was that one of the 5 witnesses, Ram Kirat Singh, he was a driver of the car, of the vehicle following Krishnanand Rai. The other 4 was riding in that car. But the fact is that the 3 others who were not members of the Krishnanand Rai family, they said they later went back on their evidence and they said they refused to recognize any of the assassins. Now this despite the fact that CBI during the investigation had got each one of these witnesses sign on the back of the photograph of each one of these assassins saying that I recognize him. But once they came to court, they went back on all of this. Once that happened, the case had already got weakened. Then these 3 also said that the other 2, including Krishnanand Rai's brother, Brijesh Kumar Rai, they were not even present, right? They said they were not even present, and that further knocked the prosecution's case. In the process, the judge said that, look, I don't have sufficient evidence to convict these guys. So 2019, this assassination took place in 2007. 14 years later, in 2019, these people were acquitted. Obviously Krishnanand Rai's wife, Alka Rai, who became the BJP MLA from the same constituency of Mohammadpur in 2017. And in fact, in the last election, 2022, lost again to a member of the Ansari family, lost to a nephew of Mukhtar Ansari. So that blood feud also continues there. He's filed an appeal in the High Court, as is CBI. As the case comes up, we'll keep you posted of what is happening. So the fact is, he got away in the biggest supposed, and this point I have to say, alleged hit of his life, and the most sensational mass murder in the history of, one of the most sensational mass murders in the history of gang warfare in Uttar Pradesh. See what the judge said in this case, and I quote the judge. And I quote, "This is a gruesome case involving the murder of 7 persons. The investigation of the case was transferred from UP to Delhi by courts. Unfortunately, the case suffered because all witnesses turned hostile." So the Judge Arun Bhardwaj, and I'm quoting from his order, he wrote, quote, "The case in hand is another example of prosecution falling because of hostile witnesses. If the witnesses had the benefit of witness protection scheme during the trial, the result may have been different." So once again, you can see the judge is not convinced that these people are innocent, but he's having to let them go. Now, if this was a sensational case, there was yet another one, and that goes to an even older period, 1991. So 1991, an assassination was carried out again of somebody who was involved in mafia activity, maybe not that big, but mafia activity, because the fight, as I told you, between wolf packs is always about territory. His name was Avdesh Rai. He was also a chota politician of sorts. Avdesh Rai was assassinated on 3rd August 1991. He was standing outside his house along with his brother Ajay Rai. Ajay Rai, by the way, survived that day and has been a politician. He's been an MLA 5 times for multiple parties, including thrice, 3 times for the BJP. First 3 times for the BJP. And now in 2014 and 19, he's the one who the Congress party put up as their candidate against Narendra Modi in Varanasi. Now that's one way of protecting secularism, because Ajay Rai also was no victim. His brother got assassinated in front of his eyes, but Ajay Rai himself has many serious cases against him, including in Gangster Act, killing people, etc., etc. Because he also got into the business, which is the most popular business in these parts. Now his brother Avdesh Rai was again killed the same way. Bullets were rained on him. He died. That case has gone on since then. It's been 32 years. That case is still under trial. Can you imagine? And one of the cases in which now Mukhtar Ansari got convicted under Gangster Act also involves that Avdesh Rai murder. That is different, however, from the Avdesh Rai murder trial. That trial is still going on, and we'll see where that trial ends up. Now, before I let you go, I will give you some data so you can see how deep is this intermixing of crime, mafia and politics in Uttar Pradesh, particularly Eastern Uttar Pradesh. So look at Mukhtar Ansari. Mukhtar Ansari has been a 5-term MLA. 1996, he got elected on BSP ticket from Mao, that's his pocket borough. 2002, he got elected as an independent in Mao. This is my empire, mera samrajya hai. 2002, independent from Mao. 2007, again as an independent from Mao. 2012, nobody would give him a ticket, so he's founded a party of his own. Qaumi Ekta Dal, QED, right? QED, nice acronym. You know what QED means in science. So QED, again, so 2012, from QED, his own party, me, my brother, my son, my nephew, etc. His own party from Mao. 2017, back to BSP from Mao. And 2022, he did not contest, but his son Abbas contested from Suhail Dev Bharatiya Samaj Party, which is a party of Rajbhar community. Earlier, at one point has been aligned with the BJP. Now, again, looks like it's going to be inclined towards the BJP. Abbas Ansari also, by the way, is in jail. He's in Chitrakoot jail. He's got further cases filed against him. For allegedly running an extortion racket from jail. His wife, Nikhat, has also been arrested, again, allegedly for going and meeting him illegally every day and also smuggling mobile phones, etc. to him. In fact, the story is that she rented a place in Chitrakoot so he could meet him every day. In that case, the jail superintendent, the deputy, a police constable, etc. have also been suspended and criminal cases have been filed against them as well. So that is Ansari. Now look at the man he was enemies with, right? Whose brother he had killed, or he had allegedly so far killed. Although he's been convicted under Gangster Act, which includes that case, nevertheless, we'll follow decencies and legalities and say allegedly whose brother he killed. So Ajay Rai, who himself did not turn out to be such a nice guy, he's been there, done that. He's also a 5 times MLA. 1996 from Kolsala constituency on BJP ticket. 2002 same constituency BJP ticket. 2007 same constituency BJP ticket. 2009 Lok Sabha. He lost when Mukhtar Ansari also contested there, and Mukhtar Ansari came very close to defeating Murli Manohar Joshi there. Right? He only lost by about 17,000 votes. So the story goes in that election that the situation had got so polarized that a lot of Ajay Rai's own followers decided to vote not for him, but for Murli Manohar Joshi instead. In fact, the other part of the story is that Ajay Rai himself, once he figured he wasn't going to win, he got his supporters to transfer his vote to Murli Manohar Joshi, so Mukhtar Ansari would not win. There is a sting to this tale, which I'll tell you in a minute. By 2012, constituency of Kolsala, from where he had been elected thrice, had ceased to exist because of delimitations. So he now contested from Pindra on Congress ticket. So from BJP to SP to Congress. Again, the beautiful thing about gangsters is, about the underworld in Uttar Pradesh, is that they are completely secular when it comes to their approach to which political party are they going to join. So 3-term BJP MLA, now contested on SP ticket in 2009 against Murli Manohar Joshi for Lok Sabha in Varanasi, lost. 2012 Pindra Congress ticket and he won, and 2014 and 19 he's been the Congress candidate for Lok Sabha from Varanasi against Narendra Modi. So this actually is a 2-part episode of Clutter, because so fascinating and so complex this story that I cannot. This is a particularly long episode of Clutter, but I can't tell you the whole story in one episode. So there'll be another one tomorrow. But before that, while concluding this, I will do something that I usually don't do. That is read from some of my own writing. So this I had written during the election campaign in Varanasi. I will share the full article with you. You can see the link, but I'm just reading a few lines. Now, Mukhtar Ansari had also decided to contest in Varanasi in that election against Narendra Modi. Right? That's where Congress had fielded Ajay Rai, Mukhtar Ansari's old enemy, for killing whose brother he was under trial. And the two families had a blood feud where they were quite happy to fire stuff at each other and wish each other death right now. Right? Ajay Rai was the Congress candidate. Mukhtar Ansari said, I will also contest, right? And then at the last moment, Mukhtar Ansari said, no, I will not contest. I am withdrawing so that my voters can vote for Ajay Rai to prevent the division of secular vote. So I read the few lines I wrote. But now Mukhtar, who was to contest from Varanasi to save secularism, first on the BSP ticket and then in his own parties, the Qaumi Ekta Dal, which is just him, two brothers and a few henchmen, he has withdrawn in support of, hold your breath, Ajay Rai. As secular coalitions go, this must be the most spectacularly fraudulent and immoral ever. So this would give even mafias a bad name. You know what? Mafias also must have a code of honor. But in this case, so once again, as I wrote then, you want me to confuse you or maybe infuriate you further? Ajay, a 5-term MLA, has been elected for the BJP thrice. So the Congress has found their own quote-unquote secular mascot for Varanasi against Modi. He has also been in the SP. Mukhtar Ansari has been with the BSP in the past and now supports the Congress candidate, right? As they would say in Varanasi, I wrote, दोनों ने घाट घाट का पानी पिया है. Both have been there, done that. As soon as the election ends, the war will resume in jail or outside. War has been going on, and that war actually involves more characters than just the Ansari clan and Ajay Rai. In fact, there is also somebody called Brijesh Singh, and it's a very involved story, which I will tell you about in the next episode.